Donald Trump have of this room. So, what's your hot take on this merger, this strategic alliance? Have you between RFK Jr. and Donald Trump?
I like it. I'm glad.
You know what? I like it too. Okay, I'm glad as well. Welcome to the stage, AdrianDickman.com. This is the big Adrian Dickman. Everybody is my friend. And welcome to the stage, Daniel T. Atala. You look like a serious person, so I like that. I like that about you. That producer. Welcome to the stage, Daniel. How you doing tonight?
I'm good at Augustus. You and I probably could find some things to agree on. Something. Part of the conversation, and I'm good for that.
This is a free speech zone. You know, I don't censor people. I don't care. We don't agree on our ideas. I'm not going to attack you personally. I'm going to attack your ideas with better ideas. And that's how free speech works. And that's how preservation of the human race works. So you're more than welcome here. You're embraced.
Thank you so much for that. I think that's some unexplored gold amongst us human beings, is that kind of attitude. So I appreciate it.
You never attack the people. Ladies and gentlemen, you want business 101 coming from Augustus Palante? Step number 1. You never attack people. You attack the process. You never attack people. You attack the process. And I took that business acumen and brought it to politics for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., where we didn't attack the other candidates. We attacked their policies. So, food for thought right there. I'll send you guys an invoice later. Anyway, we got some flames coming up from Adrian. Adrian, how you doing tonight? Adrian's on fire, guys.
Let's hear it, Adrian.
Wow. You're going to have to keep your enthusiasm to a bare minimum, Adrian. You're out of control.
So just so I got what you said clearly, Augustus, you were for RFK before, and now you're on the Trump thing by virtue of that angle?
Yeah, I mean, I came in day one with RFK Jr. As his creative director. So I've been behind the scenes the past year and 6 months, basically working with every single team in his campaign, fundraising, press secretary. We've worked with communications, social media, video, the field, state directors. We've worked with the Libertarian Party. We've worked with campaign management. We've worked with policy. We've worked with every single group revolved around the campaign. I've had my hands involved since day one, leading a team of which grew and grew and grew, and now we're walking away from the campaign with a team of 18 people I've overseen. So, you know, creative director, you got a lot of responsibilities, a lot of communication, a lot of long hours. And I believe in RFK Jr. I believe in him so much that I think he's doing what is best for this country. And whatever decision he makes, I'm going to get behind it. Now, there's a lot of supporters that, you know, and even people within his campaign that, you know, don't get behind it. You know, and I respect it to a certain level. But, for instance, there's this one guy.
Can anyone hear Augustus?
No, Augustus, I think you lost cell data or whatever.
Can you hear us, Augustus?
So I know Hekima is going to vote for Kamala and not Trump and Kennedy. But I'm wondering, if you hate Trump, what are the real advantages to voting for Kamala versus Trump? Because now that you have Kennedy with Trump, it seems to me that with the Kennedy speech, he said that the three things on why he's forming a unity party with Trump is because of
Who
forever
are
wars.
slimy and work their way all the way to the top just to sabotage the campaign and break people's hearts like Hakima, whose heart was broken. I say you're Judas. It's that simple.
Hey,
He's a Judas.
Augustus,
So,
Augustus.
me, I'm loyal to the foil. Whatever it is that he says goes. Is that simple for me? I wouldn't have gotten behind him because of his politics. I got behind him because of who he stood for as a man. And we're putting our country before the party right now. We're putting our country. I'm a Judas, Augustus. That's what you said, somebody else. No, this other dude is a Judas. This dude was working on the campaign that basically fucked the campaign so bad that people like yourself were like, okay, the campaign's not doing what they said that they was going to do, and now I'm not with it. So it's people
Just
because
so
of that.
I get the news of what you're sharing here, the campaign kind of turned against itself in a part. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I have a question for you if you're ready for it, or unless anybody has something else. It's a question for you, Augustus. If we lost you for a bit of it, so you might have lost some of your context, just like I keep asking you about him or about somebody else. That's the reason.
We missed about 45 seconds of talking.
Yeah. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh man, I can't hear you guys. Let me leave and come back.
That's happening a lot on the app these days.
Yo, I couldn't hear you guys.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
So here's my question to you in particular, because I've never heard of you before today, and I'm glad to meet you. But I'd like to ask you if you might take us down a little bit of projection for you personally and those other 12 or 18 you refer to. A scenario of what you do after the election if Trump wins, and what you do post-election comparison.
I mean, right now our team basically is doing a combination of things. So some are sticking around to basically help RFK Jr. wind down the suspension of his campaign on a volunteer basis. Some are still on board as far as their contract, but that means they can't pick up another contract. I have my contract terminated, so I can pick up another contract. And what we're looking to do is basically go and offer our services to Donald Trump and let him know, listen, we're here to help. We want to serve our country, and we'll do whatever it takes to make that happen. So until then, until we actually go on board with him, we're basically open for business. Today I had a conversation with somebody running for Congress. We've had Congress people, Senate people, all contacting us, seeing if we could offer our services to them. We've also had small businesses like medical practices, law firms, apps that run, startup companies, all contacting us. We've worked with big brands in the past. We've worked with small businesses. We've worked with startups. We've worked in political campaigns. We've built platforms like this one, Preservation of the Human Race. We built accounts on Facebook with 300,000 followers, 1 million followers. We built social media profiles up to 50,000, 100,000, 1 million followers plus. So, and managed accounts with millions and millions of followers. So we're kind of a one-stop shop. You can go check out my website. It's on my profile here, Palante.com, Palante Branding House. We offer a wide spectrum of services.
So you guys are the communications team, not only in politics but in business as well.
Yeah.
You know, Augustus, if you look at Drudge Report, it says at the very top, the Don says he was a plant. And so the counter propaganda against Kennedy and Trump, especially on Drudge Report, which is totally supposed to be somewhat just a news reporting website and a link aggregator, but what I'm saying is that just as in what Kennedy says with controlled media, I mean, it is obvious that, you know, the media is essentially an amalgamation of the CIA or the deep state from, you know, the whatever that operation is called. The point is that Kamala, you know, has tremendous backing. And, you know, if you're a media expert and you're going to work for Trump or Kennedy, I mean, the media war just will not stop until till election day. And the message is this: the simulacra says that the medium is the message. So what that implies is that whatever words you use or whatever philosophy or economics or science you're able to essentially speak or transmit in words, it still can't supersede the mediums, which is the mainstream media, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Apple. I mean, how do you get inside of people's minds and tell them, hey, it's dangerous to vote for Kamala because she's actually a very subversive agent of the deep state and the Fortune 500, which she will just roll over and do whatever the hell they want her to do. She's a sellout. She's not a republic type focused person. She is probably the embodiment of Obama in the sense that he's not worth 100 million, Michelle's worth 100 million, the kid's worth 10 million. I mean, it pays to play in the game of regime change, vaccines, and censorship.
Right. I mean,
Quick
go ahead.
question. Why Biden didn't get part of this money you're talking about? Biden is bad. Washington State, he's pretty poor. Like between him and his wife, the doctor, he works 10 million or less, and half of that is his
Did you
salary.
really just say that Joe Biden is pretty poor? You're out of your fucking mind, dude.
I mean, his net worth is $10 million. You can show me something different.
Dude, his net worth is way above $10 million. Hunter's worth $100
Can
million.
you show? Can you show me that?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the
Yeah, I
link.
know
Give me
you are.
5 minutes. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Give me 5 minutes.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, really, it all comes down to the power of persuasion. You know, I know Adrian's a big practitioner of the power of hypnosis, but I think that the hypnosis is the weaponization of communication, and communication is key. So it's really, to me, all about the power of persuasion. If anything, you know, this hypnosis campaign ran by the Kamala Harris and Biden administration has been to a point of weaponization, military grade, weapons grade, psychological operations and warfare on their own people. And it's been going on for quite some time. What I think we need to do in order to combat that is launch a remedy to that. And Kennedy is that remedy. And he's behind Trump 100% all the way. They're in a strategic alliance. And, you know, the first time I ever spoke with him, I brought up CIA mind control programs. And he said, you know, acts of civil disobedience will help remedy that military weapons grade psychological. You know, if you see somebody at the front of a CVS, and they're saying you can't come in this CVS, sir, unless you wear a mask. If you don't have one, here's the box right here on this stool, and he points to the stool, and he asks you to get a mask. It's that simple. So it's the power of persuasion. We're now going to persuade everybody in that CVS that day that the next time that they go to CVS, they're going to do the same exact thing through example, acts of civil disobedience. It's that simple.
Well, I mean, I think it's what Kennedy says. The reason why he's forming a unity party with Trump is because of forever wars, vaccines, and censorship. Google, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Meta, YouTube, even Clown House, and everything is still engaged in censorship to a certain extent, but X is at least open. And when you see the truth that the government weaponized all the agencies and had a portal known as CISA within the White House that connects with all major branches of government in order to crush Trump and crush Kennedy and maintain their power, that is not democracy. That is essentially usurping the republic and being felonious traitors and criminals and liars and domestic terrorists.
One question. Hey, I'm still waiting on that. But you talk about forever war. Trump is the only person to talk about going to war in America. Like, you want to go after the cartel, like you want to build the wall. Cool, I'm okay with that. I'm take support of that. I'm okay with that. Well, protect the border. We have no right to go into Mexico and other South and Central American countries talking about invading cartels, going to war with the cartels. We have no business doing that. That's going to cause a serious refugee crisis throughout the Americas, not across the waters, but in the Americas. It's going to cause a disaster.
So let me ask you a question. Nick. Are you pro cartel?
No. You got me all wrong.
What I said is close the border. If you close the border, they can't get their drugs up here. They will be stuck with their drugs in their country. There's no need to close the border. If you say you're going to stop people from getting here, then they won't get their drugs here. Cool. So why would you go into the country killing cartel members, which is going to destabilize families? Millions of people will lose family members, lives. A lot of innocent people will be killed. Like, what do you really think? The consequences of going to war in the Americas with a bunch of third world countries who's already in bad spots.
Hakima, we get it. It's a bad idea. We get it.
So you're telling me that the Kamala Harris supporters are going to be saying we're pro cartel operations here on America's soil.
So I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for Kamala. I'm not speaking for Kamala supporters. I'm not a Democrat, as you know. I'm not speaking for Kamala's administration. I'm speaking against what Trump has plans on doing in Mexico and other Central and South American countries. It's going to be a disaster.
I agree with you.
Can't see that. Thank you.
I have a question for you. You'd obviously, if you could wave a magic wand, prefer that many more people agree with you than presently do, even though you may be okay with how many do agree with you because you talk about that. But I wonder if you're hearing something that Augustus needs to be saying, and he's aligned with quite a bit of what you're talking about in many ways. But I also hear him saying that it is not just about your read of it, which is your concept, your ideas, accurate or not, but how many people actually agree with it that matters. And I just want to ask you, if you believe that's true, do you think that just calling out the facts as you are, as you see them, is enough to make some influence?
Well, I think, I believe in God, and so when I speak out loud, I have faith that the universe is somehow picking up my vibration or my, what I'm thinking and saying. And it's a reflection of yourself. I think that we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. And so, when I have thoughts and I say them, I believe that in some weird way that the logos or magic may somehow circumvent or I've met Augustus in person, and I think the word is really synchronicity. And there's other words that might describe what, internet telephony or, having these conversations can do. I mean, it's also talk therapy. So there is that dopamine feedback loop perspective of being on this app, boredom crusher, loneliness crusher. But my point is, if you're just a partisan, at least admit it. Don't be a hypocrite.
I think that another great way to reverse the hypnosis is you ask questions that you know are going to open up pathways for truth. So if I ask, Akima here, so you're telling me that let me ask you a question, Akima, hypothetically speaking. You're pro cartels operating on American soil? Now, it's going to basically open up a pathway for him to think about that and say, wow, I'm actually not for the MS-13 working their operations in Chicago, and Philadelphia, and Detroit, and Los Angeles, and San Francisco, and New York, because I love those people in those areas that are negatively impacted by gang violence and cartel violence and all of the horrible things that come along with being somebody who supports the cartel. So, his initial knee-jerk reaction might be, oh no, I'm not against. I'm against cartels, but I'm voting against Donald Trump because of X, Y, and Z. Well, maybe that question was profound enough for him to go back and think about his answer later on, and then say, oh wow, maybe we should get rid of the human trafficking in the United States. Maybe we should get rid of the people behind drug trafficking in the United States.
Augustus, I never knew you to be disingenuous, but like I said clearly what my stance was. I'm not for the cartel. Like I'm for closing the border. They can close it and put up.
I was just using you as an example. I'm not saying that's what you think.
Let me finish up real quick. Thanks. But like I'm for that. If he closed the border, the only thing Mexico would do would have a drug problem within their country. I'm not for drugs getting to this country because it has devastated my community for decades. So I'm not for it. But to say that he's going to close the border and go after cartels, he has no right to go in another country and invade them about what that country decides to use as a product. And not only that, like really think about the consequences behind it. Okay, say you against the cartel. What are the consequences of going after the cartels in Mexico, in Colombia and Venezuela and all throughout the Americas? What are the consequences? We already have a refugee crisis. People fleeing those countries. If the Marines and the Navy go into those countries, what would happen after that? We would destabilize the Americas. Not Middle East, not Africa, the Americas. And they will all be flooding to our border in a number that's unfathomable.
Yeah, that's what's happening right now and what's been happening for the past 4 years.
It's going to be way worse than that. If Trump go after the cartel,
I agree with you that it's called blowback, but the point is,
there will be many lives lost, and it will cause a crisis in America that's going to be worse than we can.
I mean, I think you need to talk about drugs and what drugs are people doing and what drugs are good and what drugs are bad because, I smoke cannabis. I mean, I go to dispensaries that are licensed and operated professionally with great product and it provides an incredible income opportunity, but smoking is bad. But the point is,
But the worst drugs are the ones that are sold by the pharmaceutical company.
oh, I agree. But
Our wanted to address that.
the advertising industry and the biopharmaceutical industry are one and the same. There's no difference. And they sell poisons. The adverse effects, when you listen to what some of these miracle drugs that they advertise on television can do for you, you're like, wait a minute, you just said you were going to help me with my knee pain, and now I'm shitting blood and I have a brain aneurysm? Did you really just put that all in the same advertisement?
I agree with that. So I mean, we want to go after drugs. We want to go after all drugs, not just one, not just the ones you disagree with. Go to the start.
Well, the point is, we need liberation in this country. We need individual freedom, individual will to express ourselves. If you want to use cannabis and create a bunch of art paintings, well, mazel tov. If you want to go sell fucking 150 vials of people lined up on your block, there's a problem with that because if you're going to have gang leaders operating as pharmacists, there's a major problem.
Hey, you got a hard sell for a Trump supporter to talk about individual freedom when he's going against critical race theory, DEI, and things like that. Like I'm no supporter of the LGBTQ. They got a right to do what they want to do, but I'm not championing that though. But Trump wants to push it back that. So you can't just say it's about individual freedom because if it was, he would support
Yeah, but what does CRT or DEI have to do with individual freedom? That has nothing to do with one's character. That has everything to do with affirmative action and bullshit policies.
That individual freedom. If somebody wants to teach that, and someone wants to
Yeah, but the
practice that,
government shouldn't be paying for it. If you want to sell that course as a teacher or an educator, or if a university wants to do it, that's great. But the government has to stay out of that type of fucking fugazi propaganda bullshit.
everybody can pick from both sides whether they would disagree with what the government should pay for in education. So at the same time, the government should just pay for education the way they are doing, actually spend more money on education, and let the school make it a state issue. How about that? You want to talk about abortion being a state issue? How about let that be a state issue? Let the people vote on that. But then
Well, I agree with you. State issue is everything. And in fact, states used to issue their own currency, but now we have monopolies.
but Trump's not pushing that though. So my point is, don't act like Trump is for individual freedom when he's nowhere near.
Hey, I've got to pick up here, Adrian, when you're ready.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say one more thing is it's not about Trump, it's about our individual freedoms, our will to power, our will to creative force, our will to art, our will to love, our will to all the positivity things. It's not about Trump. I think he's going to be the best executive to run the country. I think Kamala is a Marxist, communist, domestic terrorist, a subversive deep state terrorist. She's a racist, a bigot, a clown, a fool, a low IQ dimwit. She's a blowjob, Willie Wilson, San Francisco Marxist terrorist piece of shit. Most dangerous thing that could ever get in the White House.
Hey,
No problem. I think it's amazing and a freaking miracle if we find
I thought he was talking about Trump.
Hold on, Carlos. Hold on. Yeah. I just wanted to say, Adrian, I really mean this. I have asked that question in a different form to lots of people and observed that question going on in my head when I asked you, where Augustus was coming from. Because I think it's the most important conversation I've heard so far is this distinction between hypnosis and persuasion. I would say, from my eyes, persuasion is a form of agreement, and I don't think you really make any change without agreement, no matter what you have to do to get there. And the reason I point this out, Adrian, is I've asked the question I asked of you, and you came back with, I am making agreement. I'm making agreement with the universe. Like shout it into existence. And I make agreement with myself, right? Was the other thing. Like I'm being very genuine with you. Like that is a really powerful recognition that I have not had. So I wanted to thank you for that. I think we can recognize, like, if we're really for a position and we know it's true, like you're talking about policy there, like, well, what are the things we agree on, even if we pick a different candidate? There are some things. I heard you talk about liberty, right? Individual rights, all of that. That's a start, right? Because then you can kind of have a common ground between us of how we compare all the people running in state, local, federal, and even end up with, other kinds of power in corporate versions too, and in our families as well. Because we operate on agreements. Doesn't matter how much we disagree to get there. We're not very good at finding agreement, I'll just say for the record, in my opinion. But there are things that are going on right now in the population of America and the rest of the world at an individual level, like us having a conversation like here, that actually has that kind of influence and persuasion to make policy changes that our grandparents couldn't dream of. We have far more power, no matter what we think is going on and the things being done to us. Our individual capability to collect and do individual and collect, not either or. Individual ways that we collect have far more power than they used to have.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Daniel, and welcome to some of my good buddies, Dr. Mitch, King James, and Jay. How you guys doing today? Listen, before we get to it, I just wanted to let you guys know, I just had my work call. Briefly, I told him, I said, listen, we've got a big space coming up tonight. We've got a clubhouse going right now. And I know you're 12 minutes late to this call. I'm calling you. What are you doing? Oh, I totally forgot about the business call. Listen, I'm cooking dinner right now. So I said to him, why don't we do it tomorrow? He said, that'd be great. I'll give you a call when I wake up. So we're going to schedule that for tomorrow, which means that Kennedy 2028. It is great. Tap the link at the top of the room. It's the X space that I will be having today called Make America Healthy Again. Save America, MAGA, RFK Jr. 232 people have already RSVP'd. 232. And I'm estimated to have over 1,000 people there. Last night I hosted a space with 1,500 people in it for 8 hours. So we're going to have a really big space tonight with a lot of special guests, big influencers from all different platforms, and would love to have you come through. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell y'all because this is a small room. I'm working on getting Robert F. Kennedy. This will be the first time he speaks to the people in this format since he made his announcement just yesterday. So, isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting?
Just remember that the Trump Kennedy Unity Party is based on three principles, which is ending forever wars, stopping these vaccines that are killing everyone, and the third is censorship. Censorship is the most important because if you can't think it, you can't say it. If you can't say it, you can't get it out to the universe, to people's heads. That type of control will destroy humanity.
So you guys know on how like the DNC is famous for suing Donald Trump so many times, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, but 6 different times as he had 6 different court cases he's fighting right now. You guys realize that, right? And it's a tremendous amount. It's a huge amount. But you know what's even crazier than that is that same conglomerate, that same elite tyrannical government is going after RFK Jr. not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, not even 6 times, not 7 times, not 8 times, but 9 times. There's 9 legal battles that he's fighting simultaneously, more than Trump, from the DNC. So then people are wondering why. Why is it that RFK Jr. would align himself with Trump? Well, it seems like the DNC doesn't really like him too much, to be honest with you. They've forced him off of the ballot. They've taken him to criminal court 9 different times for even saying he wants to be a nominee.
It's dirty. It's prosecutorial misconduct.
Not to mention the prosecutorial misconduct, but also the censorship you were just talking about. That's a form of election interference. That's a form of censorship. Not to mention the fact that they intentionally didn't give him Secret Service. As a political move in order to drain his campaign of 33% of whatever they made to pay for their own personal security. It's cost them tens of millions of dollars. It's cost them tens of millions of dollars in security, tens of millions of dollars in lawfare. All of that money should have been going towards the people who support him, the people who are on the ground, the field game, the door knockers, the volunteers. I mean, all that money could have been allocated to actually have a campaign that was a presidential campaign that was for the people, by the people.
But look, Kennedy's the fulcrum. Without everything he did, none of this would be possible.
Let me just finish what I'm saying, which is, it's truly fascinating to me to see on how people are just so, taken aback and surprised that, RFK Jr. is going to align with Trump when they just drained him dry of all of his cash in legislation, all of his cash in security, not to mention the fact that they wanted to censor him off of every single opportunity that they had in order to have a real debate. So you don't even want to champion your policies. You don't even want to, give your nominee the chance to be able to earn voters. Instead, you silence him on the debate stages. You silence him in the off of the ballot, and you drain his campaign funds through lawfare and through not giving him security. I mean, it was only until we all saw a former president of the United States almost get his head blown off in front of everybody's size for them to say, okay, we'll give you some security. It was only until then. I mean, he set records for not being able to get security. There's literally dozens and dozens. I went through a list actually today of hundreds of different nominees throughout the past 50 years that have gotten security without his polling numbers, right? That had smaller numbers than him, and still got it.
And no explanation about Michael Crooks or who he was communicating with or anything about him. They burned the body, they covered it up. That is another conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. This is a major problem. The deep state is trying to kill Trump and trying to kill Kennedy, and they won't stop. Kamala and Waltz are definitely some type of fucking sleeper agents or some type of sycophants. And Kamala she will destroy this country like the black goddess queen of India, Kali. She's the apocalypse. And I know people say Barack Hussein Obama was Satan, but for Christ's sake, Kamala could really do it. She could lead us to Third World War with nukes and cause an entire collapse of civilization.
If you look at like, all right, clearly they're terrible or they're purposely setting up assassinations. Either way, I would be okay without Secret Service protection. But Adrian, but to you, I'm still waiting on the fight.
I mean, he had multiple.
While we wait,
I'm still waiting on the fight.
I mean, for you to say that's so disingenuous, because especially coming from somebody who just said that I was being disingenuous. Listen, the reality of the situation is that he had 4 attempts on his life while he was paying for private security. But you're okay with that?
I would say the Secret Service is terrible.
Can't tell.
I say that before. I wouldn't want their protection. Clearly, they're terrible. Is the point I'm making.
Well, it was a strategical move. It literally drained the campaign of tens of millions of dollars that could have gone towards the millions of people who wrote down on their name that we want him on a ballot. You know he broke a record for that? More signatures for him to be on a ballot than any other presidential nominee in human history.
But the Democrat lawyers will just expunge all the registrants because you're not in the database.
Hold on just a second, Augustus. Augustus, when you opened this room, you said that there is something to do with the obligation to truth in the communication, right? Not just hypnotic, not just persuasion, but there is an element of that that's important to you. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. We asked, is there enough truth? Which is sort of a stupid question, but we did a whole couple of hours on Clubhouse, more than a year old, if anybody wants to look it up. I can just boil it down to some of our conclusions in examining that question from a non-partisan perspective. Is that truth is both a belief and a fact. Like when somebody usually goes, that's a fact, right after some assertion they made, it's usually what they mean is a belief that they believe so strongly.
Malcolm never stops crying.
Well, I don't know it for a fact, but I know it's true. Sometimes we just know something is true, but we don't quite have the fact yet. Like believing in a certain kind of conspiracy, fact or fiction. Either way, if it's a fact or fiction, there's still a belief that precedes it. That belief is very important. However, it's really important if we are committed to the truth that when we have a belief, we own it as that, rather than everybody accepts something or whatever that doesn't actually have active proof yet. Not ruling it out. But if we don't
Malcolm never ever stops complaining.
it becomes impossible to make anything but partisan conflict. Absolutely fucking impossible right from day one. We gotta have the ability to go, if I have a belief and I know what it is and I know what I stand for, it's part of my identity, but if I come up against a fact that's inconvenient to that, what will I choose? Left or right? If a fact shows up that contradicts my belief, which will I choose? That's what we define in that. Well, you don't have to listen to the hour now that I just basically downloaded that, but I think it's key for us to really examine how we get out of this fucking mess of where the other side is my enemy instead of the fact that they believe some fucking stupid shit. Like you said at the beginning of Augustus, attacking the idea and not. I think it's the worst way to call that.
Yeah, shout out Daniel for that, and what's up, Dr. Mitch? What's up, King James? Wesley, what's up, my bro?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Preservation of the Human Race. Just kidding, Dr. Mitch. Go ahead, boss.
on stage and you watch the others, you know who's supposed to be the president. So this guy is a brilliant, dignified patriot.
That is a fact. 100%.
Yeah, right, James. So
His strength is amazing, and how long he's been doing this and how successfully he did this is a testament to his brilliance and faith. He's a great man.
yeah, I want a real quick little housekeeping thing to the mods up here, the people down in the audience. If you guys come up here and you disrupt or interrupt or and you start saying crazy stuff, we're gonna shoot you down in the goo in about 2 seconds. So just give you a heads up for those of you who really understand what's at stake here and want to contribute to the preservation of our country.
Have you seen the movie Good Shepherd? Because I get the feeling that that movie is a very good depiction of what is happening, which is Skull and Bonesman and CIA control everything, which is like Sith Lords. I mean, the Sith controls everything, and that's my opinion. It's dangerous to even say that, but I'm not afraid of anybody. My point is, do you think that movie Good Shepherd is a reflection of what's happening in Washington, D.C. and with, extreme influence in billionaires or Skull and Bonesman? I mean, it does seem like a secret cult is somehow because Kamala's the Trojan horse. She's the Trojan horse of Skull and Bones. Why don't people see that? Hakima, why don't you see that?
Facts.
And what I find odd is that I've been on this app stumping for RFK for 5 years. And I didn't get not one Trump supporter that made him relevant. They always dismiss him. He's a nut job. He's this, he's that. But now all of a sudden with Trump now it's the best. Now it's the best endorsement ever. Like just be honest. Like none of you guys supported RFK until he supported Trump. Everyone dismissed him. No one gave him any credit.
No,
That's not, you're, hey, listen,
that's not true.
you're wrong for that one, because everybody in here always supported him. Everybody in here always supported him.
Okay, cool.
I think they,
I'm talking about the people. Thanks, Dr. Smith. I'm talking about the people I engage with on this app. And you're right, it wasn't in this room. I talked to Augustus about it. Augustus knows me from other
he
rooms.
definitely supported him.
Okay, I didn't say that Augustus did. I'm just making a overall point. If Trump supporters did not support RFK at all, and now they're making a big deal because RFK is supporting Trump, it just shows how they are just fucking sycophants in my opinion.
Will someone please explain what he's talking about? Someone other than him?
Well, again, I'll bring up Skull and Bones. I don't know why you can't consider the movie Good Shepherd and the Skull and Bones as Kamala being the Trojan horse of that organization, and thus the deep state, big vaccines and pharma.
We got it. They're all Hey, what's he say? I just don't understand this. Here.
All right, let me explain. All right, so Skull and Bones. All right, that's college stuff. That's preparing people for another passage to another area.
Well, I'm talking about George Bush, the George Bush family in Texas.
Yeah, like I say, they're way past
Levels.
that's college student stuff and
The higher level bonesmen, these are the men that you cannot even sit in that presidential seat without having some sort of affiliation with them or coming from their organization. So you are right, Jay, that on a low level, this is just college verbiage and bullshit. What is crazy about America is that we have allowed the monarchy to basically take over our ideologies, meaning it is not about the low levels on their level. It is all about what the elite are doing. So what Cheeseburger's doing, though he trolls a lot, he is making a very good point. And how do we clean up America? How do we clean up the world? How do we police it the correct way? Well, we have to call out the secret societies, the elephants that are in the room. Who gives a fuck about who the candidate is if we cannot call out the elephant in the room? The people that are the gatekeepers for the ones that we look to expose on an everyday basis. We hear Donald Trump. We hear Donald Trump. We hear RFK. Now, I am not a huge Trump supporter. Do not mistake my words when I'm saying this. But I have a clear, it's pretty much clear cut and dry what is happening, is that there is infighting going on inside of the shadow government. You have to X RFK Jr. completely out of the equation. Why? Because he is the most righteous of the three. He is the most capable of the three. He just happens to be a Kennedy, which walking in the door, and anybody